What are the 10 most important things in buying an adventure motorcycle? I'm going to go over all 10 in this video. Stick around. So the first thing when you decide to buy an adventure motorcycle that you should consider is, what is your intended use? Are you taking it mostly on the road, mostly off-road, a mix of both? So this bike is the KTM 790. This is what I would call a 50-50 bike, meaning you can take it on road, you can take it off road. You're not going to do, it's not going to be the most comfortable bike on a long tour, but you can do it. And it's not going to be the most nimble dirt bike ever either. So, but you can do both. It's just not going to do either the best, but it's versatile. So what is your intended use? Or do you want to ride, these long tours on the road and do some really multi-day trips? Or you just wanted to kind of carve up some single track or, some dirt roads and explore? Like, you have to ask yourself, what is your intended use on the motorcycle? That's the most important thing, I would say, is what's your intended use. The second thing I would say is the price. Does it fit your budget, right? So obviously you don't want to be looking at a $30,000 motorcycle when your budget is 10. Even trying to get that used, you're probably going to price yourself out unless it's very old. So you kind of ask yourself, how much can I afford? What's your budget? 10, 15, 20, $5,000, whatever it is, because I think that's going to help narrow down what you can afford. I would say BMWs are in the high end of those price range. I'd say KTM's is somewhere in the middle, Honda's somewhere in the middle. I think most of the Japanese are kind of in the middle. I think, Aprilia, same thing. I think BMW is at the high end. Triumph is maybe medium high. I'd say Honda, KTM, and all the Japanese, like I said, are probably right in that middle ground. And then you have some budget ones, the CF Moto and some of those bikes, the Kawasaki KLE 500 coming out. Seems like a kind of a budget bike. This was actually, the KTM 790 was a budget KTM at $11,000. And I think you get a heck of a bang for the buck. So, price is going to be huge and direct you to where you need to go in the market and what you can be looking at reasonably. The third thing is reliability. Now, KTM, we all know, has history of not being so great and reliable. So, a lot of people want to stay away from them, but they are also one of the most high performance, sexy bikes, in my opinion, out there. So I would say, are you really going to prioritize reliability or not? It may be a bigger concern for some than others. Some people are willing to take the risk. Some people have had KTMs, never had a problem with them. So it's a little bit of a wild card crapshoot. So that would be something I would say you may want to ask yourself, is how important, if you're going to do, some remote rides way out there, then reliability may be a bigger deal. If you're just going to do some local stuff and you break down, you can probably get a ride back to your house if that ever happens. So reliability is what I would say is the third most important thing when you're considering buying an adventure bike. Number 4 is just the feel of the bike. So this is why, if you watch some of my previous videos, I have a video on why a lot of dealerships are not allowing test rides anymore, which is unfortunate, because number 4 is feel. So how does the bike feel when you ride it, when you corner it, when you start it up? Just the overall kind of, how does everything come together for you? Do you feel a connection with the bike? How is it? Is it nimble? Is it feel too big? Does it feel top heavy? All those kind of intangibles, I put them all into one category, which I say feel. And I think a bike has to feel good for you. I remember when I bought my first Africa Twin, I test rode the new BMW at that time, the 1200. I test rode the 1190. I test rode the 1090. Actually, the 1290 and the 1090. And I thought for sure I was going home with a KTM. And then I saved the Africa Twin for last. And I didn't think I was going to like it. I think it was the cheapest of all of them. And so in my mind, all right, it must mean it's not as good. I got on it, it just felt right. It just felt more comfortable. I didn't expect to ride home in an Africa Twin, but that was how I ended up with an Africa Twin, my first of 3, as it would turn out later. But so I think just how does something feel? One of the things I didn't like about the BMW when I test rode it at that time was it was a water cooled. It just didn't feel. I didn't feel the bike. It was so smooth. It was almost like riding some electric scooter. It was so smooth, and I like to feel a little vibration. I like to feel that. For me, that's just takes me back to my roots when I'm riding. So that was important to me. Number 5 would be the seat height. So this bike is actually pretty decent. I got the high seat because one of the things when you consider seat height is not just, hey, how well do my feet, flat foot, like this, my feet do flat foot, but also if I'm doing longer days on road especially, what is the bend in my knee like? Because if you're up here, right, and the pegs are up here and you don't, and you're like, your knees are going to get sore. So I like to have a little less of a bend in my knee, because over time, on long days, my knees are going to start to ache. And before I got this seat, I got the high seat because I wanted more distance between the seat and the peg, because I knew it was going to help me on those longer riding days. So for me, that was an important thing. So you want to make sure that you can touch the ground and you can maneuver the bike around. You're not on your tippy toes, because it's hard to maneuver the bike, especially when it's not moving. So I think seat height is really, really important to some people. Not just, like I said, not just the distance from the seat height to the ground, but the seat height to the peg as well. The other thing I would say is important, would be my number 6, would be the weight. So I have another video that I just put out a couple weeks ago about, I think weight is overrated, and this is why it comes in at number 6. It's because I think weight is overrated. I don't think it's all about the weight. This is 470 pounds, but it doesn't feel 470 pounds when I'm riding it. It's the way the weight is distributed. So I think, you have to consider, I'm going to have to pick this thing up probably at some point. Adventure bikes almost always all go down sometime. It's in the front yard or, on some dirt or whatever. Hopefully not on the pavement, but that happens too. So if you have to pick it up, like, is this a bike that you can pick up? Is it too heavy for you to pick up? So I think in that sense, the weight is important. So ask yourself, is this too big of a bike? I think the days of everybody going for the biggest engine out there, the 1200s and the 1300 now, I think those are, changing. I think people are going for more of the middle weight, which I consider this a middleweight bike, right? It's not the biggest, heaviest engine on it, but it's still plenty of fast, plenty of horsepower, and all those kind of things. The seventh thing I would say is the aesthetics. How does a bike look like? How does it look? Does it look appealing to you? I do feel like, just like when you buy a car or anything, like, I think the aesthetics, it has to resonate with you. Like, if you don't, nobody's going to buy a bike they think is ugly. So, I think a lot of the KTM's, the polarizing, with the headlight, when they did that new redesign, I don't know, what's 10 years ago, whatever, they put that crazy kind of alien looking headlight on the front, and a lot of people didn't like it, but a lot of people liked it. So it just depends. Do you like the look of your bike? I just thought this was one of the sexiest bikes I had seen. I love the orange and black color scheme, so that really resonated with me. I loved, just everything about it, and still do to this day. 8 is fuel range. So if you're gonna be out for long days, whether dirt or pavement, you want to see, well, how far can I go? How many hours can I ride before I have to fill up? And I remember having an experience on my first Africa Twin where I rode across the loneliest highway in America, Nevada, Highway 50, the extraterrestrial highway they call it, and there was a huge gap between gas stations. And I can't remember exactly the distance, but it was around 200, 175, 200. And I had an extra gallon of gas. It's the only time in my life I've ever had to use my extra gallon of gas. It was 110 degrees, and there was no shade, and there was nobody on the highway. And I just said, you know what? I never want to feel like that again. I never want to experience that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy the Adventure Sport model, which had a 6.5 gallon tank instead of a 5. So I didn't want it. So that was just something that I chose, and I wanted to do longer trips, and I just didn't want to be in that predicament. So I don't carry extra gas when I'm on my Africa Twin Adventure Sport, unless I'm in a very, very remote place, for that reason, because 6.5 gallons can get you pretty much anywhere in the U.S. Between gas stations. So that's something you may want to consider. Number 9, the available parts. So there's a bike called the Aprilia Touareg, and the Touareg Rally just came out. Really, really great bike, but the service and the parts and the dealers are not, they're not really readily available unless you live in a big city. So I live in, in northern Arizona, and I'd have to go down to Phoenix. So for a dealer, and so I would like to just have available parts right here, in my town, other than having to drive, 2 hours plus in a city I don't really like driving a motorcycle in to begin with. So that is a consideration. It's like, and I think any of the Japanese, most of the Japanese bikes, Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, and even KTM, I think you're going to find parts pretty much anywhere. So that's a consideration as well. So available parts, when you need them, something breaks down, if you're on the road, are you near anywhere where you can get a part that you need? So, and the last one is comfort. So how comfortable is the bike? And actually, I'm going to throw in a bonus, number 11. How comfortable when you're riding it, especially if you're doing long days on the bike, on pavement, is it comfortable for you? Does it feel, what's the riding position? Does it feel comfortable? Is it too cramped? So it has to be comfortable. You're not going to want to ride the bike as much. If you think, oh boy, every time I ride that, I'm just not comfortable, you're probably not going to keep the bike, and you're probably not going to ride it that much. So, make sure it's comfortable. And sometimes you can trade out the seat, and you can help that, or get some risers on the bars, or different bars, or whatever, to kind of help it. But it should be pretty close, stock. It shouldn't rely on aftermarket parts to get it a long way to be comfortable. If it's not comfortable at all, I don't know that aftermarket parts are going to make a huge difference. They can make somewhat of a difference. So that's something to think about. And the bonus 11th one is engine and power. So I feel like the Boxer engine, when I had my BMW 1200 GS Adventure, the Boxer had a feel to it. The Honda, with their twin, that has a certain feel to it. The KTM engine has a feel to it, and the power. So, what's the torque? So I think my Africa Twin has about the same amount of horsepower as this bike, but it has a lot more low-end torque to it. That's why it's an 1100 compared to a 790. But they have about the same amount of horsepower. So I think, what's important? Is it low-end torque? I think if you have a passenger, I think low-end torque would be important, just because you're going to have a lot more weight on the bike. But if you're looking for speed, like horsepower might be more important. So it depends how it's kind of all set up, and whether you're looking at a low compression, a high compression engine. So this bike takes only high test fuel because it's a high compression engine, where my Africa Twin and my KLX 300 both take just 87 octane because they're low compression engines. So that's all something you should also consider. And, that also part of maybe the feel of the bike as well. I think most people are not going to use all of the horsepower that their engine provides, really. So I think most of us don't. And most of us, I think, watching this are probably intermediate, beginner, maybe a few advanced riders, but I think most people, the bike can do a lot more than you can as a rider overall. So I hope this has helped. If you're thinking about purchasing an adventure bike, I'd love to hear in the comments what you're thinking about, and what you're basing your decision on. They're fun bikes. They're the Swiss Army knife kind of motorcycles. That's why I love them. You can pretty much go anywhere on them. Please like, subscribe, and always remember to blaze your own path, and keep an eye out for my upcoming Alaska series, as I'm returning to Alaska in June of this year, just a few months away, and I'm going to start it off with the ferry ride. So stay tuned for that, and if you have any comments for future videos, I'd love to hear them. See you in the next one.